Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm Ten Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hey, glad to be here.
Yep, and today we're talking about the best cards from or I guess inducting cards into the Hall of Fame, which is our personal Hall of Fame, for cards of the I guess
F
F
block.
block cards that are rotating. So we'll talk a little bit about. I mean, it's only cards that are rotating. So, Boss's Orders, Professor's Research, very good cards, I believe, in this block. Do you know?
I think they are. There's one card on my list, which I'm not sure if it's a top 10 card, but that you may argue whether it belongs on this list. But we'll save that when we get there. And the only
Yeah.
cards that's an issue is with the trainers, or I guess the energies. Do they? I guess too.
Um,
I'm not sure if they've
I mean,
reprinted.
like basic energies, not rotating.
Right.
But yeah,
And I don't know, but certainly for trainers and items, in particular, they come and go from format.
yeah. But so those are not eligible. And these are cards that it's generally like brilliant stars through. I mean, it's like all the Sword and Shield cards in the standard. For example, Ice Cube, I believe, was from Brilliant Stars. I don't remember. But it's in one of the sets that's legal, but it's not a legal card, so that's not eligible. It would have been eligible before. And yeah, we're just pretty much picking the 10 best cards. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good cards, I think. Like, I don't really have a great idea. I have a list of cards that could be. Do you kind of know what you want?
I think there's about 8 cards that I think belong in. Maybe one or two you might want to argue against. It totally depends how you look at them. And there's a bunch of cards that maybe, there's a lot of maybes. Which so I think right. So it'll be interesting to see. First off, do we have our basic? We both have around 20ish cards. So what cards are we missing from each other's list, and then how do we narrow it down? So I'm looking forward to the discussion. I gotta say.
Yeah, I am too. I think this is a really cool topic. This is throughout the card's entire lifespan in the standard format as well. Well, I think I'm not really giving benefit of the doubt or like benefit to cards like say Arceus V Star is older than Lugia V Star. I wouldn't say that really gives much of an advantage to Arceus. What would you say?
No, but cards that were no, I wouldn't really give that much credit to Arceus, let's say, over, let's say, Lugia. But a card that was better more often than the other, does get an advantage. And Arceus and Lugia will be interesting if you look at it that way, right? Arceus was really good for a long time. In the last year, it fell off. Lugia was good, fell off, it's kind of bounced around. So I would
Yeah,
say.
we'll talk about those. And then um, there are some things that'll come up with different cards that I'm not so sure of. There are a lot of cards that I think are like I was going through and I was like, there's a ton of amazing cards that are rotating. They're cards. Well, yeah, let's just hop in, I guess, right?
Yeah, let's do that because we want to talk specifics too. Because you want to give examples, but you don't want to give examples yet because you're going for the cards. So we're going to do Pokemon first. And do you want to throw out the first card?
Yeah. So I'm recording in Pokemon TCG Live. You're recording in
I'm in
But
Limitless.
just like yeah, limitless. So my cards are not in any order. I mean, they're in. I even know you said it might be the order that they're inputted in, but I don't actually know if that's true. So I figure you can guide us through. Do you want to go by set,
I
if that
don't.
makes sense,
I'm not good at
or are they
that.
just
So
in no, or yours
there.
also in no particular order?
No, not really. This I'm gonna go. I'll lead off with a card from the first set, I believe, from Brilliant Stars. Is that the first set? Kind of the first main
Yeah,
set.
yeah, that's
So, and I think this one is in the top 10. And this will be the definitive top 10 list when we're done. We know that. That's the one thing I know for certain. And this
yeah,
Arceus V Star here. Um,
yeah,
right? And then look, and the cards haven't rotated yet, but there's no more new cards getting printed, so we know what these cards have done. So Arceus, a very solid attack, 200 damage to Trinova, and you accelerate 3 energies, basic energies from your deck to your V Pokemon. You're like very good, so it makes it a good, very good attack. And then Starbirth, V Star Power, which is an ability, super awesome. Search for any one card. So just it was a really 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 good card for a long time. It's fallen off lately, but it's still probably a better card than it. At this point, it sees like no play almost, but it's still, I think it's still a solid card.
yeah. It's not a terrible card now. It's like occasionally tossed in for its V-Star power, but its attack's okay. Um, it's very good. It is like the face of V Stars. It was not the first. I believe the first two V Stars were Glaceon V Star and Leafeon V Star. which are very like whatever. Leafeon was decent with Leafeon V from Evolving Skies, which has rotated since. But yeah, Arceus V Star's like the face of them. It feels wrong to not include it. Um, but there are better cards. I don't think it's the best card of all these cards either. Do you?
To me, this is one I think definitely is a top 10 card, but we'll see. Obviously, it's all subjective, but it's all relative, right? So, it was a top, obviously the best card for a while, and one of the best decks for a while, and plus just a useful card in other decks too. So, I think it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah, I think it'll make it. I'd feel really bad if it didn't. But yeah, let's go through the V stars. I think now. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Um, does that? I'm
Uh,
looking through it. It's a little weird, but
yeah, that's fine. I had two more cards from this same set if you wanted to do that, but you want to do the V stars first?
yeah, I think the other cards. I have maybe one Poke. I have two more Pokemon I believe from the set, and
Yeah.
they're not really that related. So I have six V stars in total here.
Okay. I
Um,
don't remember.
the
I assume Palkia is the next one, right? Because that's from the next set and was the
Yeah,
big.
so from that next set, I have two, which are the two Origin Form Pokemon, Origin Form Palkia V-Star and Origin Form Dialga V-Star. I think Origin Form Dialga V-Star isn't gonna make it. Like, I have 25 here. I think that one we could probably remove from the list.
Yeah, it didn't make my list. It's very it was never a great performing card. Maybe a little bit, but it was always it was kind of a teasing card more than what it performed. So I didn't put it. It was kind of my initial list of 30, but then I cut it out before this. So I'm happy cutting it.
Yeah. And then Palkia, so this one, and we'll kind of break them down and what they do if you're not so familiar with them. Its ability, its V-Star power says once during your turn, or I don't know, it's a V-Star power. It doesn't say once, but it's one during the game. You can attach up to three basic water energy cards from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in any way you like. Or guess water energy that could be special, but not in standard. So that's a bunch of energy burst onto the board. And then you have your attack, your subspace swell, which is 60, 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent. And you could pair this with Air Zero Under Depths to get a little bit more damage. That's something that isn't really that relevant to this card. Um, and it's been splashed into a lot of different things. It's been the focus of decks. Its ability has been good. We'll talk about Radiant Ninja in a bit,
Yep.
but that is a target for energy acceleration. Itself certainly is a target for the energy acceleration in all the decks it's been played in. And then outside of that, you'd have I don't know. I think it was like Suicune V. Um,
Yep. Uh,
Cloud V was just one that popped in my mind. Italian is certainly decent, but it's mostly there for itself, and Radiant Ninja as well, I guess.
well, and later on, then with Goldango, right? There are Goldango decks,
Oh
Goldango
yeah,
EX.
but you're not accelerating to Golden Go.
No, no, it was kind of an odd pairing, but it actually worked pretty well. And I
Yeah,
guess
just an alternate attacker.
right, and as you said, it would power up the Radiant Greninja in that deck as well. So it gave you that option to swing with that. So yeah, no, Palkia is good. I was a more fan of Suicune V because it was the big basic Pokemon, or
Mhm.
you know,
Not that big, but like
yeah, correct. It was yeah, no NTV, right? Which I don't know if we'll get to today or not, but
I don't think we're gonna get to that one, unfortunately or
no, I know it
fortunate.
makes me sad, but yeah, it doesn't make my list either. But similar, the fact that it was an evolution, I didn't love the attack. I thought the evolving for the damage, I didn't love. But I think the star portability is very good, right? It's very different ability when you compare it to Arceus coming out the set after, but powers itself up plus something else. So yeah, it was very good, and it was the best deck for a while. I would say.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, like I said, um,
Yeah. Look,
is
I
that what
think
you mean?
Arceus. Yeah, I think if I could was comparing this to Arceus, Arceus was is Palkia was probably as dominant as Arceus when Palkia came out, but Palkia fell off more quickly. Arceus hung around.
Yeah, and then it came back though. Palkia is
Yeah.
good now. It's not amazing, but it's certainly solid.
Yeah.
Um, I think Palkia is like it's like a bigger damage attacker than Arceus. Arceus is
Yes.
they're both like decently well-rounded Pokemon. They can support, they can do good damage. They're self-sufficient or not self-sufficient, so that they can do different things. They're both good, and some of the major V stars. So yeah, let's go on, I guess, to the
Oh,
next
I'm
one.
just going to toss this out. I'm looking at this because I'm in Limitless. It actually came in second at the San Antonio Regional. So,
Oh, is that with
with
okay,
Noctowl. So,
just a Pokeball. Okay.
Palkia Noctowl is what it's called. I'm not opening the list. So anyway, so
Okay.
it's even you're seeing new life again too. So, um,
Yeah, with like Era Zero Under Depths, Serial Edge gets tossed in, Goldengo, different
yeah,
things. Just more as well as like a build. But yeah, it's a pretty versatile card. Versatile, like a lot of these, I don't know, when people think of good cards, I feel like and good Pokemon, I feel like people don't think of like versatile Pokemon. They think of like Charizard EX, which like isn't really versatile, it's just really strong. But
right.
yeah, Palkia is really versatile. But then the next one I have, how many V stars? Do you have five in total?
No, I have four. So I think I know the
Four.
one
Let's
that
see
you
what you
have that
have.
I don't. I left off a V star that I don't like. So I'm assuming you included one. But
Wait, is that okay? So I have Giratina V Star.
yeah,
I assume you have that.
yeah, I have that.
Are both of them dragon?
That I have. Yes,
Yeah.
both the ones I have are dragon.
Yeah, I
Yes,
feel like you're missing a pretty good one
a,
that
a,
might be
co-
the best,
a
but
colorless one.
yeah, colorless V-Star. But yeah, Giratina V-Star is really strong. I've always talked up as a good raw stats attack, which is 280 for Grass, Psychic, colorless. And then you put 2 energy attached to any of your Pokemon into the Lost Zone.
Right.
It's generally itself. And then your V-Star power says you instantly knock your opponent's active for Grass and a color, or no, Grass and a Psychic. If you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, it's a Pokemon that's think mainly been featured as a Lost Zone Pokemon. It's seen play powered up different ways, like with Arceus V-Star or copied with Giratina V-Star as well. And those have been substantial meta decks for a while, and good meta decks. And the Lost Zone Giratina V-Star deck, I believe, was the best deck in the format. And actually, I don't remember. I think it was pretty close. Lost Zone was very dominant, and it was a major way to play it.
Yeah, no, it was. You could play it with Arceus, and I messed around with it that way. It did see some play that way as well, with some success too. Um, the Lost Zone one's interesting because Lost Zone's been very good. What cards can you put in for Lost Zone? I'm not quite certain. We'll have to consider that as we move on at some point. But the other thing you skipped though is Regidrago. Right now, it's a Regidrago
Oh
card,
yeah.
which
Yeah, no, I mentioned that, but
okay.
didn't. Yeah, it is a pretty. I guess it's a decently important part of that.
Yeah. So right. I mean, the tricky part when it's the Giratina deck is how do you power it up, right? Which Lost Zone primarily, Arceus secondarily, and or Gardenia's Vigor, right? Which is on your supporter list, I assume.
Oh yeah, right next to Magma Basin. Is Magma Basin on your list?
No, it's not. Look, Vaca Mason's much better than Gardenia's Vigor. I
Oh,
mean,
Magma Basin's a good card. Unfortunately, didn't have really particularly good Pokemon to pair with, but
I
um,
know. Yeah. Anyway, it makes me sad it's not on my list, but we'll mention. I'll mention it briefly when we get to yes.
yeah,
But yeah, Giratina V Star very good. So I wasn't usually a big fan of it a lot of the time, but yeah, very good. And it largely as this is the big attacker, right? 280 and Star Requiem. It's V Star power, which is attack, could one shot any Pokemon in the game. So very good.
yeah. Then let's talk about Regidrago V-Star now, I guess. Regidrago V-Star, it copies a dragon Pokemon in your discard pile, um, but its attack cost is 2 grass and a fire. So if you're copying Kyurem is more expensive than that. So then you're getting an attack cost reduction essentially. Um, Kyurem is like more expensive, I guess, but it also has this ability which to make it cheaper when you're not copying that. But there's a wide variety of good attacks to copy. And Legacy of Star is your ability. You discard the top 7 cards of your deck and then put any 2 cards from your discard into your hand. So it's a really great recovery and somewhat, it's like a decent setup ability, but it's amazing for endgame recovery if you can wait that long. But comparing it to like Arceus V Star in the early game, it's not particularly amazing. Um, Milling 7 random cards can be bad or can be like super important. It's kind of weird, but yeah, Vegeta V Star is like I think what we were talking about the best decks of last year, and you said it was Regidrago, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like going into like the last worlds and stuff, this was potentially the best deck to bring, right?
Yeah.
Within a that not worrying about the meta, right? Obviously, just it's super versatile. It sets up pretty well, and obviously it's gotten a lot better. Um, as time went on, right? Once we got the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn and such to set it up. So
Yeah, and Dragapult EX is also in that same set, which is um, the main attacker of the deck and really good.
yeah, so when we come down to the making the final 10, it wasn't good consistently. And looking at the price history besides the spike early days just fell down off pretty cheaply, and then it gets this huge spike when those other cards like Regidrago and such. I mean, when Dragapult and such came out, it just jumped up huge. So most of the time, it wasn't overly strong, unfortunately, for it.
Yeah, which was like 2/3 of its lifespan. It was kind of bad. It was a bit of a meme deck, which I think some people don't actually know. Some people are like, this card's like absurdly good. Like it was not absurdly good for a lot of its time in standard. It was not really playable at a serious level, like really at all. You mentioned Gardenia's Vigor for this or something else. I don't remember where you mentioned it for.
Yeah, no, right. I mean, Gardenia's Vigor was. I mean, you had Arceus, but that wasn't the best way to play Arceus. Then you had Gardenia's Vigor as kind of a meme deck, and then the real meme deck, which is the fun one, was Fortress
For
EX,
this, yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
gives up 2 prizes to power it up. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that. I mean, you did at the time, I guess. But obviously now with Team Sugar upon the X and Energy Switch, it's insane. But that was it was like under a year ago it came out.
Yeah.
This card was over 2 years ago. But yeah, and the other card, the other V Star is Lugia V Star,
Yes.
which I think is like definitely better than Regidrago V Star. But this is also a card I'm not a big fan of. We don't like playing this deck, either of us, if you don't know. But its attack is whatever. It's 220 for 4 colorless, and you can just kind of stadium and play, which is kind of bad. It had use cases, and it's supplemented by other stuff, so it's definitely okay. But its ability is what you want, and during your turn, you may put up to 2 colorless Pokemon that don't have a Woo Box, and you just go pile onto your bench. And yeah, that's your Vista power. So this is used to put 2 Arcaps onto your bench, which are stage 2 fossils, but once during a turn, they let you search for 2 special energies from your deck and attach them to one of your Pokemon, and you have 2. So you can get a bunch of energies onto the board of various um, effects and calibers. It's changed a lot, certainly, the deck over time.
Yeah, yeah. Now Lugia's been a top deck a lot, so and so from that perspective, right? Initially, the whole right with the amazing with the what were that with the
Yeah,
amazing
the amazing rares or just
rares
the amazing Pokemon.
with all of the special energies because it only Arcaps only so special energy, but there are special energies of all types at that time. The rotation
Yeah,
hit,
including a special energy, Aurora energy, which encaptured every type,
right?
as well as specific types. So
So had that rotated, then it was basically the single strike became kind of the dominant build for a year.
yeah, but there was the colorless build with
Yeah,
like Weird V and like
the other
Regigigas,
Snorlax.
like oh yeah, the other Snorlax. That deck was okay.
Right.
Yeah,
The single strike deck was better, and then
well, it had higher upside, but it was inconsistent. I mean, you only had 4 energies really as a key component, and your attackers were kind of whatever.
right. Look, it's been a good deck. It's there's 2 things. First, its ability. You got to get set up right, and you've got to get the Lugias. You got V Star down, the V Star. You got to get your archives in the discard pile. You'll have a lot of games when you don't set up and you do nothing, and then you just kind of scoop, which I don't like a deck that's it's when it sets up it's huge, and when it doesn't it's nothing generally. So I don't
Yeah, I
like
mean, I
that.
think it's more consistent than we act like it is. Like, it's a deck that's quite good,
Yeah.
and sets up, it sets up probably like 3/4 or 4/5 of the time.
It,
Um, Not
yeah.
necessarily like turn 2 perfect setup, but like it sets up decently. Um,
Uh,
like
here's
it's a little below average.
here's the other issue with it as a card for the top 10, and I don't have Archeops on my list, which I
Oh,
think.
you don't have either?
So
Okay.
if you have Archeops, I think we'll go to that card next. The question becomes, Lugia without Archeops isn't nothing, and Archeops without Lugia is nothing. So to me, it's like if I put Lugia and Archeops together, it's a top 10. It's a 2 or a top 10 card, but they're separately they're not, and that's I will have to kind
Yeah,
of
I just
come to
I
that
just put
question.
one of them in.
Okay,
I'd personally choose to put like Archeops. Archeops is the one that is accelerating the special energies. Yes, Lugia does have the attack, and it has the ability, which is like really key to the deck. I mean, it's the name of the deck. Sometimes people call it Lugia Archeop. Sometimes people just call it Lugia. Um, and it's very good. Lugia's never putting. I've never seen it put a Pokemon into play that's not Archeops. I don't think. Certainly not like it's you're just putting Archeops into play. And then Archeops I have seen without Lugia from time to time, not commonly, but it is something that like happens occasionally in like weird decks. So I'd put Archeops over Lugia personally, and you're playing more Archeops in the list as well. And as I said, it's like doing the lifting, I guess.
Okay, so are you putting Archeops on this potential as a candidate for the top 10 list or no?
Yeah, they are both on my list.
Okay, so you have that. All right, so I'm going to open that up in the screen and just put it there. So I assume we've discussed Archeops, right? We don't. Is there anything you want to say about
Yeah.
Archeops that we didn't?
Um, I agree that like putting them both on, I don't know, like it seems like a little much. I feel like, um, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like which one will you put on? I think I don't know if you're kind of in agreement. That's kind of what I was picking up.
Well, do you put one or the other, or do you put neither? Which is where I fell to. Also, because also when we get to the whole Lost Zone, the Lost Zone's been awesome, but what do you do for that? We had
I think that's
Giratina
in a
V
similar
Star,
situation.
but Giratina V Star's not just a Lost Zone deck, right? So it's a little, these are some of the complications to putting together the top 10 list. So Lugia and Archeops are on the list, so which I didn't have either. So what do you want to cover next now?
Well, first of all, I want to actually say, like, let's rank the V stars, I guess. So we don't need to like exactly rank, but well, I definitely think Lugia Archeops, the deck, is a better deck like throughout its history than Reggie Draco by like a substantial margin.
Yeah, I mean, look, Reggie Drago was super awesome, but
Lugia
not
was also super awesome for like one set, but Draco was like super awesome for like 3 or something.
okay. Look, ranking them. I think Arceus to me is near the top, if not the top.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Palkia also is.
yeah, I would say I would say Arceus one, Palkia two, probably. I mean, and then we get to Reggie. So Giratina, probably Giratina. I don't think is going to make the list
Uh huh.
personally.
Because of the other Lost Zone stuff, right?
Yeah, it's very good, but probably yeah, I would put Lugia as third, and then probably Giratina and then Reggie Drago. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
That's why
think
I.
I don't think either dragon's going to make the list myself, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I think just to get an idea of like where the list stands.
Okay,
Then
I,
yeah, let's talk about Lost Zone, I guess.
hang on. So let's. I have two V Pokemon. Why don't we bang out the
Okay.
V
Okay.
Pokemon? So I
Entei V. No.
so I would no, that one's not even close to being on the list.
Yeah,
But
no, that's not right.
so the first one's from Brilliant Stars I have here, and this is Lumineon V.
Yeah.
So with luminous signs, right? You can attack with it. You would occasionally, but you search your deck for any one supporter, put it into your hand, and on playability, so it was better before Quick Ball rotated, right? So it
Yeah.
was easier to get into hand, but decks still play it, right? I'm still playing it in decks. I'm playing.
Yeah. And I feel like it wasn't play like with Quick Ball, we had Kura V was the same um like era as Quick Ball, same block, and
Right.
that wait, yeah, Quick Ball wasn't it was reprinted, but it wasn't with a later regulation market. But so like Crobat V was always played more, and Dedenne GX, which was a similar era as well, was also played more. So in some ways, it's like it's a good card, but it's not a card that's like it's not a staple in every deck.
Which Lumineon V?
Yeah,
Yeah,
unlike like Dedenne GX was, I think, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah. No, the Dene GX was broken, right? The Lumineon V is a reprint of the ability, right? They had that in the game before with what do you call it?
Tapu Lele GX, which
Tapu.
was a staple.
Right.
And we've seen other things like it as well, but that's the most recent, which isn't even that recent, and it also has the same HP.
Right, but if it was a busted ability, they wouldn't have reprinted it with Lumineon V. Whereas the Dene GX, right, their quote reprint is Squawkabilly X, but they nerfed the ability, right? So I think the Dene
Mhm.
GX was kind of was overpowered, and they're not going there again probably for us. So
Yeah, I think
uh,
Tapu Lele GX was better. Also, there were different like rules, and there was a bunch of different things going on,
yeah,
which made it better. Um, including like power creep. But yeah, Luminion V is quite good.
Yeah, and it's in a ton of decks, right? Mostly one ofs, right, or maybe two, but it's been in a lot of decks the whole time it's been out. So it's for support Pokemon, it's near the top of the list, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting support Pokemon to talk about. Um, and then I guess the other one I assume is Rotom V.
Yes, right, right. Another support
Yeah,
Pokemon, Lightning. It really picked up usage later on, I think, right? So instant charge, you draw 3 cards and your turn ends. A very good ability. It's got an attack as well that I love to play around with, but generally that's not how you get the usage out of it, right? Like you put it in your Pidgeot Charizard deck and like an evolution deck or your control deck, right? With another Pokemon that I think we're going to talk about that it gets paired with a lot, where you just sit there and draw 3 cards every turn.
yep,
Everybody's favorite card there. So and it was good. And then a tool came out that's on my list that made it a whole lot better too, right? Where
yeah. That tool, which is a tool with an ability on it, I think.
right,
Sky Seal Stone. No, yeah, Forest Seal Stone, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Which is why also a big reason why Luminion V is good.
yes,
It kind of picked up. And then the other V star, we have two Vs. They both really love Forest Seal Stone. There are no V Max. The V stars don't use it. There are lots of decks because they have their V star powers. Which are varying levels of importance, but
right.
they're all probably like at least as good as Forest Seal Stone, but they are on evolutions. But yeah, Forest Seal Stone is like a big reason why these are good, which is something that I think to me, like I'd put Forest Seal Stone ahead of both of them, as we'll get to talk about. Do you want to talk
Okay,
about that right now? I guess I kind of
okay.
talked about
Look,
it
I,
already.
I would put Rotom V ahead of Luminion V between these two, but and honestly,
Yeah, I might. I'm not sure. I feel like Rotom V, as you said, it was like it came on later. Luminion V, I think it won a world championship. I don't remember. I'm not super. I don't like pay a ton of attention to competitive Pokemon. I don't know the exact 60, but I think it did it. I don't
um,
have it pulled up,
I
but
don't
it
know.
might be hard
I'm
for you to
calling up
find.
some deck lists now. So
Yeah, the
limit.
Arceus, the ADP, well, the Arceus V Star, Sumo Decidueye V Star, which did not make my list. I originally had it on my like 30, and then I cut it, and Flying
Yeah.
Pikachu V Max, which is not this block, but yeah. Anyway, Luminion V is good. They're both good. I think they're like probably gonna be on the outside looking in though.
Okay, I mean, we'll see about that, right? So, I look, I think Rotom V's in the top 10 myself, but we'll see where the dust settles on them. So, I think you agree they both belong in the consideration, right? And there's no other V Pokemon, right?
Yeah,
On
I
your
don't
list.
have any others.
Okay,
As I mentioned Dialga earlier, which is not there. It's okay, but.
all right. So you want to jump to Forest Seal Stone and then get back to the
Yeah, I
Pokemon?
think that makes sense. It like acts kind of like these cards. Oh, I don't know. It's a tool. It says item. For most of this is I don't have any other tools, but this is generally not treated as an item. So it was at the beginning, right when it was printed, but
What?
for most of its time and format, it was just a tool.
Okay, just the first season, then it was in 2 full seasons, not as a tool. Is that the way it worked?
Yeah, and it was also Force Seal Stone was the last set of Sword and Shield, or the last main set.
Okay.
I joked about Sky Seal Stone, that was actually the mini set after, but yeah, for almost its entire time in Standard, it has not been an item, despite saying it so on the card. But it is a card that, despite being a tool, it's like a search card. You attach it to a Pokemon V. Which means it does eat up the tool slot, but that doesn't really matter, and it can stay around. But you usually use it immediately, and you just search for any card. If you're familiar with computer search, specifically with an expanded, or no, I guess even when it was in standard, it functions very similarly. Letting you search for one card once per game cannot really be used. I mean, can never be used in Lugia. Can't really be used. No, not supposed to be used in like Arceus, any of the V Star decks. But
Right.
in like Stage 2 decks, it's amazing. Like Charizard EX,
Yeah.
and
No,
Control decks as well,
right.
and some others.
And in VMAX decks too, right? Like Mew, right?
Oh
Early
yeah, I
days,
guess it's
it
kind of the same there.
right. Like VMAX decks didn't have a V Star, so you had your Vs, your Genesect and your Mew V Star, VMAX, and you had some Vs. So it was great in those decks as well. And obviously VMAX decks are pretty much non-existent now, but they were a thing early on. So Yeah, no, it's just a super good item. I mean, well, sorry, staring at the card, but it's a tool now. And Arvin became a big thing too, which made it better as well. So, right, decks playing for Arvin means you have easy access to the Forest Sealstone.
Yeah, and I think they are playing for even really because of Force Yellowstone. They generally didn't play too many tools. Like they might play four, or like three or two. Sometimes they just played Force Yellowstone, like one or two copies of that, and a bunch of Arvins. I think this is better than I think it might be the best one of the best cards we talked about so far. It's been I mean, I'm someone who favors trainers generally, or I
Hmm.
guess general like cards as well, though none of the Pokemon are super general. But yeah, Force Stillstone's like kind of absurdly good. I don't know if I'd say it's been game changing, but it's been absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, this is one of the best card. I mean, I think this has got to be a top 10 card. We're not deciding, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't make the list. And it could be argued to be the best card of all of them. So, yeah, it's just a great card there. Uh,
Yeah. But then where do you want to go with the Pokemon?
all
We
right.
just have like a big mess of Pokemon here.
All right. So from Brilliant Stars, I have one more Pokemon, and that is Manaphy, which I
Oh,
wasn't.
I don't have Manaphy. I
All right,
forgot it.
it was kind of fringe on my list. It was on and off the list, I will say. I don't think it's top 10, but it's hugely important too, right? So wave availability prevents damage done to your bench Pokemon by attacks your opponent's Pokemon. Obviously, sees a lot of play, so it's super versatile. Um, I
Well,
it
versatile in index. It doesn't,
yes,
in terms of what it does, it's not versatile. It's a card that's like useless, probably like uh 75% of your matchups at least.
yeah, probably more than that even. So, but obviously, it gets you slap one into a lot of decks, right? Um, so it's versatile right into a lot of different deck lists it goes into. So like I said, it is a fringe card, um, and you think it deserves consideration, right?
Yeah, as I said, I forgot about it, but I just forgot. I don't know. I like missed it or something. But yeah, Manaphy is a very good card. I hope we didn't I hope I didn't miss any major cards, or important cards. But yeah, Manaphy is good. Well, I don't know if it's good. It's pretty good. It's played a lot. It's a really weird card, but yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, and its rotating makes a big impact on things potentially. So, in
Mhm.
that regard. So, yeah. So let's see. What was the next set after Brilliant
Well,
Star?
I have another card for Brilliant
Oh, okay.
Stars,
Go ahead.
which is a card I'm surprised you don't have, and that's the barrel.
Oh no, I do
Its
have it.
ability and just oh wait, you do have it. Oh, that
Oh,
is
was it
from
Brilliant
Brilliant Stars.
Stars? Oh, yes, it is. Sorry. So go ahead.
So its ability and just incisor. Since once during your turn, you get to draw until you have five cards in your hand. I don't really play this card. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's decent. It's like a solid draw engine. School of it helps it out, because otherwise you could end up with like clogged hands. But even then, it's good. I mentioned Quick Ball. Quick Ball is an item that was played as like a four of in every single deck in the game. Really just an amazing card, and it discards a card from your hand, which is really good. And that allowed this card to be, I'd say, a little bit better as well. But yeah, you have Ultra Ball, same set actually, and the Ultra Ball is not rotating. And then you have, I don't know, I mean, you can just play cards. So you can consistently draw a bunch of cards throughout the course of the game. It does have two retreat. It can get stuck. There's another Pokemon we'll talk about. I guess we'll talk about getting stuck in the active a bunch in this video. But yeah, the barrel is a good draw engine. It's a true draw engine as well.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. It is on my list. I forgot that it was Brilliant Stars. I usually see the Crown Zenith art. Maybe why I was getting confused about that.
There's a
Um,
Crown Zenith.
maybe it's just a rare. Sorry, I guess it is Brilliant Stars. Basically, Brilliant Stars. So I take
Oh yeah, there's a like a an alternate. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's very good. I love single prize engines, which I which we're losing a lot of single prize engines with rotation. Although I
Yeah,
don't.
a bunch here, which is really interesting.
What's that?
I have a bunch on my list.
Okay, I don't have a lot on my list. So
I'd say a bunch, but I'd say multiple.
okay, I have one on my list. So again, the discussions get interesting there. But yeah, it's good. Ultra Ball it came out with Ultra Ball, which made it a lot better too. And then Skwovet came out later, and made it good again. So people obviously, like with Dragapult doing 60 to a bench Pokemon, it gets dangerous having this 120 HP Pokemon sitting there and such. So, and most decks don't really play engines that much these days, but I think it's just, just super good. It's one maybe the best general engine Pokemon out there. Well, outside of a Radiant Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, which is a single prize engine. So I
Yeah,
don't. That's not what you were counting. The what single prize engine I have,
the best
they're weird. But
non-rule box engine. How about that?
yeah,
For
one is
versatile.
Comfy, which is like so that's like a little different.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Anyway, it's very good, and I think this could be a top 10 card.
yeah, um, I think potentially. I don't think it'll make it. Like it's been okay.
Yeah.
People haven't like played it that much. I mean, it's a decent amount, but these are all amazing cards, so it's okay in my opinion. Um, I mean, worth a mention.
Yes.
Not bad. But then we have, is that it for Brilliant Stars?
Yes. Yeah. I only have two more Pokemon, so you have
Oh,
more.
you only have two more Pokemon.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have multiple ones
Um,
that I don't have. I'm pretty sure. So, um,
yeah, I have. Okay, so what are your two Pokemon?
all right.
I want to hear them.
The one is Radiant Greninja, Astral from
Yeah.
Astral Radiance.
Mhm.
Really good. I'm pretty sure this one's a top 10. It's occasionally can attack, right, with Moonlight Shuriken,
Yeah.
which is a
I mean,
good.
occasionally, like it's a decent attacker. It's not a some like weird rogue attacker.
No, the attack's good. It's 3 energy, water, colorless. You have to discard 2 energies. That's a big problem with it. And it does 90 to your opponent's Pokemon, can be active for one, can be both on the bench, really good. You have to power it up, right? So Palkia is one way that it gets played, or Lost Zone in terms of attacking. But it's also just a good engine. You discard
And
it.
Chien-Pao Baxcalibur as well.
Oh, you're correct because they power it up as well. You're correct. My apologies for that. Yes, and just a good basic single prize engine. You discard a card from hand, an energy, and you draw 2 cards. So a very simple engine to set up there, right? Just slap, nest ball, slap down Radiant Greninja, discard energies, and see 2 extra cards every turn. So it's very good.
Yeah, Radiant Greninja is really good. And like its attack, I think its attacks is quite good. It can be super disruptive.
Yeah.
It was one of the major bench. It might be the main Pokemon that Manaphy has tried to block throughout his time in Standard. I'm not sure on that one. Um, but I think it might be. Radiant Greninja is like a solid attacker.
Yeah.
It's really annoying to have to deal with. And then there's also, um, obviously its ability is good in a lot of decks. It's the best Radiant Pokemon. I don't have any other Radiant Pokemon.
I
Do you?
I do. I lied. I have two more. I had three Pokemon, so I have two more. One being the other
Okay.
another Radiant Pokemon that's been in and
Um,
off my list. So Radiant Greninja is
yeah.
very good. I think in terms of the attack, a lot of times because powering up's awkward, having the threat of the attack forces your opponent to like bench Manaphy or not bench low HP like engine pieces sometimes, and it's disruptive as a threat too. Besides, it's even without
Yeah.
the attack. So, which is good, forcing your opponent to change their strategy.
Yeah, Radiant Greninja, as you said, I think it will make it. And then
Uh, so,
what's your other?
so
Let's talk about the other
I
Radiant.
have the other Radiant Pokemon, and I think this might be the only Radiant Pokemon with 2 arts. I could be wrong on that, and that's Radiant
Yeah, no, I think
Charizard.
so.
So, which is a very good attacker, right? One of the best attackers that's rotating, right? One of the best attackers in the game
Mhm.
does 250 potentially for 1 energy, right? With its ability, one less colorless energy per prize they've taken, which it's 5 energies, one
Your
colorless.
opponent.
Right, which your opponent's taken. So it does 250 on a single prize Pokemon potentially for 1 energy. That's super, super, super awesome, right? So if you play fire energy in your deck, a lot of times you just slap in Radiant Charizard, right? It gives you a nice little your opponent's taken 4 prizes over the course of the game. You attack with Radiant Charizard, do 250 for 1 energy. And if your opponent doesn't have gusting, they just only take 1 prize. So then you have the following turn, right, to win the game.
Yeah, Radiant Charizard is, I guess, it's a pretty amazing attacker. It's one that is okay now. I mean, I guess it's good. It's good. You can play in Charizard EX, Regidraco V-Star. I don't really play those decks that much, and I don't really see Radiant Charizard that much. I guess either I win by then or I've lost by then. And live, people just like quit early. But then it is really strong and difficult to deal with to an extent, and if you accelerate energy, you can attack with it earlier and be in a safer position as well. And then also, it's a card that's had its own deck, and people have like kind of forced fire energies or uh, like luminous or aurora energies into their deck,
Right.
though more commonly just basic fire, to be able to play this card. So it's been really amazing at times. And despite being just a card you can play as a one of, definitely a worse card than Radiant Greninja. I don't think it's really ever been better. It's been pretty close to it at times, but Radiant Greninja is substantially above Radiant Charizard, but Radiant Charizard's a good card.
Yeah, in early days, yeah, there was an Inteleon Charizard deck, or it was the attacker that won a regional. Also, in the Lost Zone decks, when they had all the special energies, would play this. So, as a nice attacking option there. So,
Wait, you mean Lugia?
I mean Lugia, yeah, sorry, Lugia would play
Yeah,
it. Um,
because Lost Zone would also play, and it was
yeah,
it's
Lost
not as much of a thing now, but there's Lost Zone Radiant Charizard builds, which are
right.
quite good.
That was a full could be a full single prize build, which has its appeal too. So, yeah, look, I don't think it's going to make the list. I wanted to give it a mention though.
Yeah, and then what's your last Pokemon?
The last one is the Pokemon that loves you to play down your Radiant Greninja
Oh,
because I'm
that
going to beat
Pokemon.
you every time when you do it, unless you're playing a
Wait,
water
you don't
deck.
have any Lost Zone Pokemon on your list? Okay.
Oh, see, that's the Lost Zone. No, I do. I have two Lost Zone Pokemon that we already discussed. See, you have
Like
Radiant
Giratina
Giratina
and
and
G.
Rotom V, baby.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
It is a
that is a
Lost Zone
Lost.
Pokemon, despite it doesn't get that connection, but it actually is, right?
Yeah.
Because you never like to attack with it. That's your problem. So Snorlax with the ability block, everybody's favorite Pokemon. I'm glad it's rotating, as is probably everybody listening out there. Although I play it
Yeah.
and Live wants me to play it these days, I got to say, just my little live rant, because I get all these challenges with the special EV challenges. It wants me to play Penny and it wants me to attach tools. And what deck is that? That's block Snorlax, baby.
Oh, I keep getting like the play Cassiopeia challenge. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
what?
I get to play Penny deck, play Penny challenge, and really that's the only deck I play Penny in these days is Snorlax. So it's like, all
Yeah.
right,
The other deck's like Control,
well, which is what
which
Snorlax
is
is,
also so much is also like the other Control deck.
right? So yeah, look, it's very good, right? The ability, it's super annoying, but you what it does, it's just great at what it does, right? You get something stuck in the active. And then they keep printing all these different cards. We have Erica's invitation to get early on. We had the was it the Rapid Strike card to get Pokemon out of the discard pile?
Yeah, yeah, Echoing Horn.
Echoing Horn, which was really good. That rotated, so it's hard. You can only get it out of the discard pile, I think, with an attack. But they gave us Erica's invitation to get from the hand into the active spot. We have the accompanying flute, I believe, is that the right name? To get
Yeah,
to get it out of the deck. So it's just it's super annoying, but also unfortunately it's been super effective.
yeah. It's one of the I think one of the most sorry, you said super effective. I was trying to think about that. Is that a joke?
No,
That
it
like
just it works. Not, no, it just works well. That's what I mean. I'm sorry, it doesn't attack, and I think this is a top 10 card because
yeah, I know I do. I think it's super underrated. Well, I don't know if super underrated. I think people don't like to say it's good. Maybe they think it's good and don't want to say it because they don't want other people to play it. But it's arguably been like the best deck like since it came out. Or maybe not since it came out, but for a long time. Like if you look at win rates on Limitless, it's always like quite high. And Limitless, it'll naturally do worse because of the way that like you can tie, which is in terms of win rates count as a loss. But on live you won't
right.
tie. Those ties will generally be wins actually. So it's actually like absurdly good. And yeah, it's very good. Even it's counting the ties as losses, it still generally has a very good win rate. I think it will be a top 10 Pokemon. Um, yeah, it was admittedly a bit of a meme deck early on, but it's not that now.
Yeah, if we had one for top 10 cards that we're glad are rotating, I think this just is the top 10 in and of itself, probably.
Yeah. But then I have some other Pokemon. I have this one isn't on my list. I was like looking through Pokemon and I was like, oh wait, that one's like decent. That's Regigigas. It's kind of like viewed as a bit of a meme deck, but it was a legit very good deck at one point. I didn't have it on my list, but figured I'd mention that. But I do have some better ones. I assume that's like doesn't really deserve any talking, right?
No, yeah, I found it difficult to play. Partly I think it was tricky to play, and it wasn't great, right? I think is where I'd place it.
Yeah, it was like weird and swingy as well. It's just kind of strange. But so I have a few cards. I guess we talked about Snorlax. I'll talk about Mawile. This card is like, in my opinion, super underrated and kind of insane, to be honest. Its attack says for one colorless, your opponent can't retreat next turn, and if you hit into them with a damaging attack, you do get to do 90 more damage. Um, the 90 more damage thing hasn't really been used very much, like really at all. I think it is something that is potentially useful, but people just haven't used it. It's a little complicated, but Marwell's been a really good control card. I guess it's not going to make it, but I do think it is a really good card, and in some ways it's better than Snorlax. It's just harder to play. It's a card that I used to play control a lot, and yeah, Marwell was best card in the control decks, in my opinion. A really amazing card that I has only seen like some play. It's certainly not like a weird rogue card, but it's not like a meta mainstay either.
Right. Look, it's a very good card. It was in my. I gave it consideration. I got to say, it didn't make my list. Wow, just it was in the it was in the deck that won the last regional though. So,
Ooh.
which features the other at least one other card that I just called up because I know you're gonna put that in. So,
Wait, what won the last regional? I
the
I don't pay attention to tournament results really.
I didn't need a Gardevoir,
Okay.
which
Yeah, I got Curlia here. It's with its ability refinement, which you guys talk about stage one engines. I'm really surprised you did not mention this one. You discard one to draw two um, on Curlia. It was overshadowed by Chinchino,
right.
which not the Chinchino in standard now, but the one that it's the same thing, but it had more HP by 10. And also it had a lower retreat cost and had a better. It was just better than Curlia, really.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously Curly's been good in Gardevoir. It's been good in other things as well. I personally don't really care for it. I mean, I don't really care about Gardevoir. Um, but yeah, it's a good card. Um, I feel like it's not going to make it, right?
I don't think so. Look, Curly is right. I look. I liked Cheeto a lot more than you did beforehand. Anything you did. Like Greninja, Radiant Greninja is good. You discard an energy, draw two. Curly is better. You discard any card you have from hand, draw two. So, a very effective engine. The problem with Curlia is it basically only goes with Gardevoir, right? So that
Yeah, and you need
narrows it down
multiple
too much.
Curlias in play to really get enough value out of it. Like you need at least two. You probably need three. If you played with Dracloak and you haven't played the Curly, which there are probably some people who have done that, um, Dracloak, it's a little bit weaker, but it's a similar feeling where you do need multiple Dracloaks to really get going. Dracloak is definitely worse than Curlier, but well, you've also I think Dracloak's better than Gardevoir EX, but anyways, yeah, Curlia, I'll pop it off the list.
Okay.
Then I have think I just have three more Pokemon, which are a
Wow.
Lost Zone Pokemon. It's the big three. You got Comfy, you got Sableye, and you got Cramorant. Comfy, with the top two, put one to Lost Zone, one to your hand. Sableye, if you have 10 or more in the Lost Zone, you put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, and if you like, then Cramorant, it does 110, but it does it for free with this ability, assuming that you have four or more cards in the Lost Zone.
Wait. Yeah, Cramorant. Okay. Yeah, look, they're all good cards. It's a really good deck. The question is, like, are you just going to put like Comfy in as the representative to Lost Zone? Right? I don't know what you're going to do. I don't think that we're going to put all three of these cards in.
No, I don't think. I think one representative it works. I don't know what that would be at the moment. We could figure that out. There's also, I know actually I do know what I'd put as my representative of Lost Zone, which is a trainer, but
Yeah, I do have a Lost Zone trainer on the list that I think. Actually, I have a
which
couple trainers on the
I have
list.
two Lost Zone trainers, but I think it's one. I have one that
hmm
I think it would
I
be,
think I have three
which is
Lost Zone trainers, so I
oh,
beat you there.
I think I'm missing one.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna add that one.
so it gets done. Yeah, look, I mean, if I had to pick one of these three cards, it wouldn't be Cramorant. It could be Comfy
No,
because that's the key to the engine. It could be Sableye because that attack, it depends. Some decks don't really play the Sableye too, depending on what they do. But in terms of a traditional Lost Zone build, the Sableye attack was, I think, the key to a success for a long time.
yeah, I think Sableye, it's weird. It kind of depends on the metagame and just how things are going and how the match is going, to be honest. But
Yeah,
it's a very strong card. Um, potentially, it's like no, I mean, it doesn't actually do that much damage. It's a late game attacker
right.
that only does 120 damage, but it is a very good card. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about that, I guess, when as we make the list at the end.
Yep.
But I think we can move on to trainers now.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, trainers. So I have what do you want to do? I have two trainers. I have four items. We did the tool. I have
Wait, what? What? So
I
two trainers. Wait, what?
sorry. I
Items
have two
supporters?
supporters. Sorry. Do you want to do
Okay.
supporters items? I have.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
do
I just figured I remembered another supporter.
why don't we
You
do
have.
energy? How about that? I have one energy.
Yeah, it's what, double turbo
It's
energy.
double turbo and it's awesome. And it's I
Yeah.
think it's a top 10 card. And if you say it's not, well, I lose all respect for you, right? So it's
Yeah, no, it's
obviously
very good.
it they had what double colorless,
Colorless.
which was and this was the nerf version, but still very good, right? It does 20 less damage, but provides two energies for a single attachment. Just super good, right? Super important for a ton of decks.
Yeah, yeah. So that's gonna make it. Then we have some trainers. We mentioned Force Steel. So do you have any more tools? I don't.
No, I don't have any other tools.
We can talk about, I guess, actual items then. I have four of them. I just added one lost on one.
Okay.
Um, so I have trekking shoes. I don't think trekking shoes makes it, but it's a good card.
Yeah, trekking shoes. I included it. It was like my last ad. I like the card a lot. I like the type of decks it works with. It either makes your 60 card deck into a 56 card deck for consistency, which is actually good, or you get to discard. You can get to it, which can be good. It's a good card. It's nice. I'll miss it, but I don't think it's going to make in the top 10.
Yeah. Then I have lost vacuum, which I just added.
Yes.
Um, and that says you lost on a card from your hand. It can be used within lost on decks. I get it's good in them, but it's not insane. But then you choose a Pokemon tool or a stadium in play, and then you put it into the lost zone. It's been a good counter to Path to the Peak,
Right.
though have been other counters. And then it's also been a the main tool counter in the game. I mean, we've had other ones, but it's been a pretty major one. It's a card that I think is a substantial loss to rotation. This is not a ranking of how important they are to losing it to rotation, but I think this is a substantial one. Um, and I think it's good. As I said, I forgot it, just added it, but it is quite good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to argue for it being a top 10. We'll see. It's very close. It goes in a ton of decks, right? Being able to get rid of a stadium or a tool. It's made those A specs tools and stadiums less useful. Once this rotates, they're going to get a lot better. So it just goes in so many decks, has some value once over course of a lot of games, I'd say. So it's in that super versatile category of cards.
Yeah, it's kind of like I feel like it's almost like Manaphy, except it's like better because I don't know if it's better. Manaphy can just like you can just lose if you don't have Manaphy, but Lost Vacuum is a card that you'll be playing consistently, and it is quite nice.
Yep.
Then I have Hisuian Heavy Ball. Do you have that one?
I do. And again, yeah, it's super good card and going to really, really miss this rotation.
Yeah, it lets you look at your face down prizes and grab a basic you find there, and lets you look through your prizes. So I mean, I said that, but it's like a way to actually do it as opposed to just like deck checking. And deck checking is like kind of annoying and I guess kind of hard. I mean, if you know your deck, it's just annoying, and you do need to know your list. And then so it actually lets you look, which is really nice, and get cards that are prized. I don't think it's like super amazing. I think it's a really good card to have in the game, and I'm sad that it's rotating. And we're presumably not getting anything particularly similar. There's a card that's kind of similar coming out that lets you look at your prize or like move your prizes around to your deck. But yeah, I'm sad it's rotating, but I don't think it's that good.
I mean, it lets you have one of Pokemon in your deck and feel that you can get it, right? Obviously, the
Yeah.
Radiance needed it, but also just other things, right? Like if you had whatever your one Luminion V, your one Rotom V, those are obviously ones we're talking about, so are on
Uh,
my mind. So, but those one
yeah.
ofs you can get once if you need, like, or say one a Squawkabilly EX. Although if you're going
I feel like it's
first,
more so like tech attackers they could need
yeah,
later on, like Drapion V, which is still in the game, not very good now. Still played a little, but yeah, I think it's good. But you can like most of the time you'll be fine without it.
yeah,
Um,
unless you're playing
yeah,
control, right?
um, yeah. Well, I mean, most of the time, most of your Pokemon won't be prized. I mean, all the time, most of your Pokemon won't be prized. But it's like it can come in clutch, but it's not. I think it's more so like a feel good card, which I play. I mean, I play this card, and lots of people play this card, and it's a good card, but I don't think it's a absolutely amazing card.
Yeah, it probably doesn't make the list. We'll see. I think it is very good though, and
Okay.
and so I don't know if our last item's the same. My last item is Dark Patch,
Oh, that's not the same.
which
Yeah.
and I don't know if I don't see a tab for it, so maybe I forgot to open it or I closed it up. So, which also I'm not sure if that's the one if you're going to argue against because it was a reprint, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, but so was. Oh, I guess that's the only one that's a reprint. But um, yeah, no, it's a card. I mean, yeah, it counts.
It's a very good card.
Well, you
Um,
know, I said it counts. I don't think it's that
okay,
good
you
though. I
just
think
said it's
it's
a card. It's better than it's a very good card. Obviously, it's only for darkness decks, and they're not the best, and but it is going to be a blow to some decks. So yeah, I don't think it makes the list. So I'll just delete it from my screen. But I think it I don't
yeah,
I think it was worth a mention.
yeah. The card I have is Mirage Gate, which I think is like really good.
Yeah.
Like not just kind of good. I think it's kind of insane. You can only use it if you have 7 or more cards in the Lost Zone. So there's it's a Lost Zone card. But you search your deck for 2 basic energy cards of different types and attach them to your Pokemon any way you want. It's like Crispin, but it's an item. Assuming you have the Lost Zone stuff going. It's incredibly explosive and incredibly powerful. I think Mirage Gate's really amazing. And potentially my nomination for a Lost Zone card.
All right. I don't think it's gonna do that for me. I think there's a better Lost Zone card that we haven't gotten to yet.
I see that as
Um,
well.
but look, this is a big part of why Lost Zone's so good too. This is why it's so hard with the Lost Zone. To me, in one sense, I was kind of like maybe we just there's so many pieces. Like I already didn't like Lugia and Archeops in part because I needed both of them. For Lost Zone, I need like 5 cards, right? So it's like, so how do you want to handle it? It's a good card. Yeah, I will just give a mention here. Switch cart was I've been kind of that was a bit on and off my list as well because it's been
Yeah, that's a solid card.
so. But it's not enough that doesn't deserve consideration for the top 10. So Mirage Gate, yeah, no, it's a very good card.
Yeah. And then I guess we'll talk about Cole's experiment, which I assume is the Lost Zone card you're talking about, right?
Yes, which obviously goes in Lost Zone decks, but also not Lost Zone decks, which is partly why.
Yeah, but
No,
like not that much.
you look at the top 5 cards in deck, put 3 in your hand, 2 in the Lost Zone. So looking at 5 and choosing 3 of them is better than there's not even if you don't need the Lost Zone, there's not it does that better than a lot of other. There's no other supporter that does that just in general, right?
No. But it's a classic draw 3. It's kind of like
Oh,
Hassle. Like so Hassle, if you're knocked out, is better than this. I mean, it's a little different, but it's realistically better. And Hassle like isn't very good. It's not a terrible supporter. It's okay, but like Cole's experiment as a general supporter is mediocre to a little underwhelming, I think. It's very good in Lost One, obviously, though.
yeah, look, mostly it's Lost Zone. I'm scrolling through as to see what else was used. I was playing Arceus Duraludon, one of my favorite decks too. I enjoyed playing that. It's not a favorite, but I enjoyed it. So I did play it in some non-Lost Zone decks as well, I will say. But yeah, it's mostly Lost Zone decks. And in a lot of ways, I would probably argue, yeah, I was playing a lot of Arceus Duraludon. But it's potentially the most important of the Lost Zone cards.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it is like a really important part of the deck. In some ways, it's similar to Professor Size Vitality in those ancient decks. But yeah, I have two more supporters here.
Okay, I have one other
Um,
supporter. So,
yeah, I just added Roxanne. You can
okay.
only use this if your opponent has 3 of your prizes remaining. You shuffle draw 6, your opponent shuffle draws 2. It's like absurd value when you play it. You can't play it consistently. I think probably not on it, but it's a very
Yeah.
good card.
Yeah, because it doesn't help you set up, right? In a lot of times, usually its usage is very limited, is what I'd say. So I
Yeah,
don't
and
think it
it's
makes
like
the list.
heavily outclassed by Iono as well, which kind of feels kind of. I mean, Iono is like super good, but yeah, it feels bad to have a card so outclassed.
Yeah, this was before Iono, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it had its place, and it's a good card, but yeah, I don't think it's not a top 10 card.
So what's your last supporter?
The last is I. This one I've been back and forth in top 10. This is what makes like Palkia good too, in other things, and it's Irida.
Yeah, and that's my last supporter too.
Which is super awesome. It's you're right. Search your deck for any water Pokemon and any item. So, like, how else would Chen Pao Baxcalibur is nothing without Irida. A Palkia deck, any water deck. Just the fact that Irida's in format has made those decks so much better. So, Obviously it's only water, so that's a knock against it, right? It's limited. But also Radiant Greninja is in a lot of decks too, so you can even splash Irida in some other decks as well. So it's just very, very good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's close. It's certainly in consideration. Then I have what do we yeah, wait, so I have a stadium. How many stadiums do you have?
I have two stadiums. I think there's one to me that definitely makes the top 10, and there's
Yeah.
another.
What's your other stadium?
Well, first, my other one, sadly, is not Magma Basin, and that hurts me to say that. But because I would like it. It's a great stadium, I gotta say. It really is a great, great stadium. The problem is the fire Pokemon haven't been very good, so that's sad. So I assume I have Lost City. I assume that's you don't have Lost City, right?
No, I don't have Lost City. I think it's okay.
It's
It's
another
just
Lost Zone card because you're all about the Lost Zone. So I'm trying to help you out here, right? But
yeah.
it's obviously more versatile than that, right? So I don't think it makes the list, but
Well, not in Lost Zone. Right? You probably would not want it there. It seems bad for Lost
no,
Zone.
no, it's in
There
a
are a
lot
lot
of
of
Iron. It's in a lot of Iron Thorns deck though, and that's the type
Mhm.
of stuff we want to see. And then it was in chart. It was in Mew VMAX decks, and then it's been in Iron Thorns decks. That's in between.
Oh yeah.
It didn't see much play, but it's been where you have a deck that has a counter to it, and you have to get that out of play. You want this in the deck, right? So but anyway, you don't think it belongs, right?
No, I don't think it belongs. The other one is Pokestop, where
Yep.
you discard the top three cards of your deck and get the items, discard them straight into your hand, which is like kind of weird. You don't just get them straight to your hand, which is like there's a weird ruling with Toad Scroll, but whatever.
Yeah.
So this is really good because it's like a stadium that draws you cards. It's very aggressive. Things can go very badly with it, but it's a very good card. I think it probably makes it. It seems it's good.
Yeah, it kind of serves an engine for a lot of decks. It's one of those funny engines, right? Because it's one of those cards that um, you have to have a deck built for it because otherwise it hurts you a lot more than it helps you. But yeah, it saw some. I'm just kind of looking through some Lost Zone play, but then, once like the ancient decks like Roaring Moon came out, it saw a lot more play. So it really didn't pick up, I think, until those other cards came out later on. But it's in a lot of decks, and a lot of decks rely on it. So I'm thinking, it's a good general card. It goes into a high number of decks.
Yeah. So now I think that's it through the cards. We've like gone through all the ones, right?
Yes.
And
Um,
now we need to figure out what we're putting in.
okay. I think let's go through. I think there's some ones that definitely go in. How about that? And then I think we have like well, I think we'll just have a few slots we're fighting for with a lot of cards. You want to do it that way?
I,
You
I,
want
I
to, or
guess, yeah. I have like two that are like definitely in.
only two, huh? Okay.
Oh, I have
So,
three. I have one Pokemon, one trainer, and one energy.
all right. Let me say what I think is in. All right. Well, I'm going to say I think double turbo energy gets in,
Yeah.
and that's your one energy. So,
That is my one energy.
because that's the only energy we have. And Forest Seal Stone is in, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's my trainer. Yeah.
That's your only trainer. Wow, that's
So the
in.
one that I think is definitely in.
The only one. Okay, so all right, I'm good with those. And I mean, and you have what, one Pokemon that's in?
Yeah, one Pokemon guarantee lock.
All right. Do you want?
Actually, I have two. I
I
have
mean, I
two
mean,
that
I
I
think
guarantee lock.
Arceus is in. I
It could
you're
be
not
in.
sure.
That's
So
not my lock.
so you
I have
think
two
Snorlax is
locks.
in, and
Yeah, I
Radiant
think
Greninja's
Snorlax
in.
is in, and I think Radiant Greninja is in.
Okay, so we have four. So we have six spots with a lot of. So we got a lot of battling to do. Where is that Snorlax? So how do you want to do it?
Let's start. I think there's some we can kind of get rid of. I think Reggie Draco restart is not making it. Looking at this list.
All right, let's see. So Arceus, maybe Palkia, Lugia. Not Archeops though, right? We'd put Lugia
No,
in. And
I'd put Archeops over Lugia personally.
okay, so all right, so Reggie Drago you said's out because it wasn't long enough.
Yeah, it's good. It was quite bad for a while though.
Okay, do you think Giratina is in the running still?
I think so. We need to have the Lost Zone conversation. I think that's part of that.
Okay, what
But
about the other V's? Luminion V, Rotom V.
yeah.
You want to drop? You want to cut both of them? One of them?
I don't know. I really don't.
All
I
right.
put Lumineon V above Rotom V? You said you put Rotom V above Lumineon V,
Yeah,
right?
I'd put Lumen Envy above, I guess, at this point. So why don't we chop off Rotom V? How about that?
Yeah, I guess.
You think we might get both on the list? Okay. Um, so we need to leave the lost zone still. So
Yeah.
let's
Wait, did
see.
you remove Lost Rotom V or keep it?
Right now it's in. What do you want? You want me to?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't feel great about removing it at this point. Let's talk Lost Zone. Um, I think.
All right. Let me say I don't think Cramorant's going to be in. Right.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. Cramorant's like a good card in terms of its level of impact, though. It's just good.
Right. And I don't think Sableye's in because I don't. I mean, how many lost zone cards can we put in? Two tops.
Yeah, like Lost Zone. Yeah, I think yeah, I think not Comfy either. I think it's not those. Like
Well, I
Comfy's
think
representative, but it's like we'll get rid of Sableye though.
okay. I mean, I think in some sense, Comfy is the poster card for it. So, and then you in Giratina you see as a lost zone card, right?
It's partially. I think it's predominantly a Lost Zone card, but it is more. It is Arceus V Star, but it can be played with that. It
Yeah.
can be Big Giratina V Star as well.
All right. And Colress is a very good lost zone card.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd put Colas Experiment above Comfy.
okay, I would too. But let's so what else we have? So Lost Vacuum is not really a lost zone card, right?
Yeah, not really.
I
I
mean,
think Mirage Gate would be. I think Mirage Gate should be in. Or
you
I
think?
no, I think it should be at least highly in consideration.
All right, and that's it for lost zone cards that are on the list. I'm just trying to take a look here.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's like fake Lost Zone cards, but
Yeah, like Rotom V.
yeah.
All right, so you think what Mirage Gate would be the number one card amongst it?
Well, I think Colas Experiment probably or Mirage Gate, but I think we both said Colas Experiment above Comfy.
Yeah. So drop
So
Comfy.
yeah,
So we have three lost zone cards potentially.
including Giratina.
Yeah, or yeah, if we put Giratina, I mean, without lost zone, most that's the best Giratina general for a lot of the time, anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Hmm.
we have Colress and Mirage Gate. I don't think I could put both those on the top 10 list though.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't think. Well, let's see. All right, let's leave these alone a second. So I think Pokestops in, don't you?
Um,
I think it's better
I
than
think so.
I.
It's on the fringe, but I think it probably
All right,
is.
all right. You're very all right. So trekking shoes is off, right?
Yeah, yeah. Trekking shoes. I've got rid of that one.
You think Hisu and Heavy Ball doesn't belong? Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think it belongs. I mean, it's so close, but I think it's off.
Okay. I'm just trying to make some progress here. I don't think Mawile makes the list.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got rid of Mawile.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Radiant
I
Grid.
think the barrel's off.
Oh wait, Radiant Charizard doesn't make the list, does it? I dragged that in.
Yeah, I don't have that.
You think Barrel's off? All right. So right now we have four. All right. Do you think? Yeah, I get it because it hasn't seen a ton of play all the time, right? That's the. I mean, I like it a
Yeah.
lot, but it makes me sad. But I think you're probably right. So all right.
I think we should get rid of Lugia or Archeops. I'd get rid of Lugia, but I'm fine going either way with that one. But I don't think we want both on.
I think Lugia is what the deck is named after, right? So let's drop the Archeops.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So we're one. So how about Man? I don't think Manaphy makes it. Do you?
Yeah, I think it's. I guess not. It's like played a lot, but it's not that good.
Okay. So we're down to 15 cards. So we got to chop off 5. I have 15. Do you have 15 by the
Yeah,
way?
yeah. I also have 15.
That's good.
Um,
So
I don't necessarily think. I mean, Irida's really good. But I feel like it's not as deck defining as like the Pokemon, and it's not like there are definitely better trainers here.
all right. I just think you're trying to push in too many Lost Zone cards, but okay.
No, we can get rid of some. What? Let's get rid of.
Do you think Lost Vacuum makes the list? It's super
I think
versatile,
no. I think
but
it doesn't. It's like good. It sees a lot of play, and it's also good, but it's
right.
not the most impactful card or anything.
Right. It's not the card that defines things. So we'll get rid of that. So,
So we need to get rid of 4 more.
So we have 1, 2, 3. So we have what 4 cards that are definitely top 10, right? One.
Um,
And we have 10 cards that we need to get down to 6. So we've got Arceus, Palkia, Lugia, Lumineon, Rotom, Irida, Pokestop, Giratina, Colress, and Mirage Gate.
Yeah, I'd remove Giratina V-Star. Like, I don't know. I don't love it.
Well, we need some V stars, right? I mean, I
We
think
do. Well, we have four. I think four is too many.
I agree. So, but we need. So, what V stars are in? You think? Do we have three
I
of them?
think the other three are in,
Okay, the other
right?
three are in. Yeah, Lugia, Palkia, Arceus. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, I could, maybe you could drop Palkia depending how what the
Palkia
mood
is
I'm in.
really good, or it's been really good.
It has.
I
So,
don't think you
okay.
can get rid of that one.
All right, we'll get rid of Giratina. It's good. It's been great actually, but yeah. Um,
I think we should get rid of one of the V's.
yeah. I think Lumineon V is
Base.
better all around. It's a little more versatile, right? So drop Rotom
Yeah.
V.
hmm
So now we're down to 1, 2. So we just need to drop one card now, right?
No, we need to drop two cards. Wait, we still have Irida, right?
I dropped Irida.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh no, I'm
Um,
staring at it. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, I have 12. You're right. So
yeah,
we've got Irida, I think Pokestops in.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I think we should. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it's nice having all the types represented as well. I gotta say,
What do you mean all the types?
all the those are types of
Oh,
cards.
trainer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think we should get rid of Irida.
All right. I think Colress is definitely in, right?
Yeah. Um, and
And
then
and then it's
what's
Mirage Gate or Pokestop, right?
what to cut?
Yeah, those are the last two we're down to, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I could get rid of. I guess I could get rid of Mirage Gate.
Okay. So
You want
so
to do that, right?
yeah, so Lost Zone is really represented by Colress, right? Colress
Yeah.
Experiment. Okay. And yeah, I think that I'm good with that. I think Pokestop belongs, so I gotta say.
Yeah, it's a really good card. It's like the best state. It's been the best AM since Path is rotated. So, um,
Yeah. So, yeah, the Lost Zones one's tricky, right? Because Lost Zone's really good, and in some ways that's one of the biggest things rotating. But it's so many cards, right? So we've gotten that down to Colress, which is a key card in Lost Zone, and it does see play outside of Lost Zone. So I think that's a good
yeah,
representative of it.
yeah. I think this is a good list. There's so many good cards that aren't on this list. That we just cut, but yeah, I'm happy with this, and yeah, this is like so weird because there's so many like Irida's really good.
Yeah.
Um, there's a bunch that are really good, but yeah, I'm happy with this. There's 6 Pokemon and there are 2 types,
Is
which
that
is
what
kind
we?
of funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
there's
um,
3 water, 3 colorless.
yeah. So, all right. So, colorless Pokemon. We got Block Snorlax, everybody's favorite Pokemon. Arceus V Star, the first of the V Stars, right? Or was there like a promo V Star? Oh yeah,
Yeah, there was
there's like
Leafeon,
Leafeon, right?
Leafeon.
So,
Yeah,
but
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 more or
Arceus
less the first one.
super awesome, and Lugia V Star super powerful, and we got Palkia V Star, we got the Radiant Greninja, which is really good, potentially the top card of this bunch, and Lumineon V, probably the weakest of the top 10 for the Pokemon, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'd say Snorlax is better than Radiant Greninja, but
Could be. I try to block it out of my mind, but yeah, it could be right. And then we
yeah,
got
yeah, I try to block my opponents.
yes, and then we got Colorless Experiment as the lone supporter here, right? And then we
No
have
items. Well, we
oh
have
no,
a kind of item. It used to be an item.
oh that's right, no items. We didn't get an item in, so yeah, I yeah, because we don't. I would put in Student Heavy Ball. You would have put in Mirage Gate, right?
Yeah, I mean, Student Heavy Ball's like good. It's kind of like Lost Vacuum, which also was close. It's kind of like
Yeah,
Manaphy. It's like these like niche tech cards that aren't useful that often, but are played a lot.
right. That's true. No items, and items are to me the most important cards of the game. So
Yeah,
I'm
well, usually,
surprised
so
by
actually,
that.
and this is a thing for everyone, items generally like the best ones are in the first set, and they kind of tail off, or I don't
Mhm.
know if they tail off, but this is the last block of Sword and Shield, so there aren't like, I mean, there is like Ultra Ball, but that's not rotating. The key items are the Pokemon Search, and then maybe some of the recovery cards as well, and a few other cards, but these aren't. Items are good, but there are certainly stronger ones in the game now.
Right, and then we got Forest Seal Stone. This again a top card, no doubt about that. Pokestop, which I had to talk you into, and then Double Turbo, which another top card. So
Mhm.
that is the definitive top 10 list from the F block, right? So there you have it. You can let us know in the comments below where we got it wrong. I'm sure I'm sure there's a lot of disagreements, right, about it. So
This is the list. It's perfect.
I know, but people can have their opinions. Their opinions are wrong, but
Exactly.
but
So
but
that's how
but
opinions work.
but you're allowed to have your opinion, even if it's not as good as our opinion. So look, it's particularly if there's cards we left off, right, that didn't get a mention. I don't think we missed any glaring things. I don't think we missed anything that is a top 10 card. At least I hope not, right? That's always the
Yeah,
biggest
I don't think
concern.
so. There are certainly some good cards we didn't talk about though. That yeah, we'll see. I think we might want to do. So we have currently a Hall of Fame. I was gonna say we have 30 cards. We might actually have 40 cards now, or I don't remember. But we have a bunch of cards of the Hall of Fame. I think at some point we might go through and like add some more cards of older generations if they need it. Or take a look at the whole thing and stuff like that. But yeah, these are it's a celebration of the best cards, and we can see kind of what is super memorable of this era, which includes right now and older as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we do have the Hall of Fame for all three of the Sword and Shield. So this completes the Sword and Shield era top 10. So we have a top 30 in a sense, because there's three top 10s there. So yeah, I think it
This
was
does
fun.
not include bosses, orders, or professor's research.
No, not doesn't include the best cards in the game, nor like basic energies or switch or anyway, that is what it is, right? Bosses orders, I guess, will rotate eventually, though, right? Perhaps,
Um, maybe. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It could.
right?
Um,
They'll rename it, right? It was Lysander, right, at one point and stuff. So,
yeah, they could rename it again. I don't know.
so
But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We've gone a little bit over here. But yeah, I mean, tell us down below, as Uncommon Fossil said, what you would change here. But we hope you enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
all right, take care.